Hello, Dana. Scott Hebert, and just want to go over our lesson notes with you. And first of all, I'd like to say it was great meeting you and Casey. You got a real future in this game, as we talked about. But I want to drive home the 3 points that we talked about most, and that was how we're going to hold it, how we're going to stand to it, and how we're going to finish. And then let all your athleticism from playing basketball and tennis take over. So the first thing we talked about was the grip, and what we want to be able to control is the club face, toe and heel relationship to the ball. So we talked about placing it in the fingers of your left hand, being able to see either the two knuckles represented by the red circles, or we can use the little V's that are formed from your thumb and your index fingers. So once we get those V's together and get our hands on the club, it makes it relatively easy to swing. The next thing we talked about was getting the tilt properly, as we measured your arms and they're both the same length, and how we want your left side to be approximately 5 inches higher than your right side. So when we look at some of the world-class golfers that play, Michelle, we really see the relationship of how the head's behind the ball and how the shoulders are tilted where your left side's 5 inches higher than your right. And then the other thing that we talked about, getting that right shoulder to be outside of the right hip. So now when we start to take a look at where we were, right here, when we started, we saw pretty level with your shoulders. Let me move that over to the left side. To where we got to, we still want to see just a little bit more tilt, but here we can really see how much further behind the ball on the right side. Again, the backswing, something that you don't need to worry so much about. You get behind it really nicely, but the main difference is what happens when we come into the ball. We can see there how you're flat-footed and how you're pivoting over your right leg versus when we do it correctly over here where we see lots of activity with your lower body. Look how that right knee is kicked towards the golf ball and forward, and how we're starting to pivot over the left side. And then you start to show your sponsor or finish on your right toe. And this is really the key for you, is to get that to happen versus that follow-through position. Much more athletic on the right. I think this was a really, really great leap in just 1 hour's worth of time. Now the thing I want to caution you about is be careful that you don't think of too much too early. What we want is sound fundamentals of the grip, making sure your hands are on the club properly, making sure your body sets up to it properly, which is nice athletic stance, knees are slightly flexed, your head's back behind the ball, getting ready to make an athletic motion. And then make sure that you start to follow through and finish this way, where we see you up on your right toe and that club resting over your right shoulder. A lot of that tension is going to go away. A lot of the not so normal stuff, feeling will go away. You know, and then we can see the finish compared to one of the best players in the world, Annika Sorenstam, how really close that is. And if we back both of these up to impact, we see how really close both of these are. So we're going to see really, I think the future is looking great for Dana for golf, when we can start to make those type of motions with your body. You know, and then all the way back to setup. But we still want to get the feeling of head behind the ball a touch more, even though this was a good shot. And if we look at Annika, if we look at Michelle we really see the difference in where their body is in relationship to the ball and how it's back behind. But I look forward to seeing you again. It was great meeting you, and good luck with your golf.